Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome to the Piper Report. So there was a tense moment at the G7 summit between President of the US, Donald Trump, and President of France, Emmanuel Macron. But Macron thinks he has it figured out. He thinks he knows why the handshake was stern, because he compares Donald Trump to people that want power, like Vladimir Putin. Washington, CNN. French President Macron confirmed that there was indeed a deeper significance to the prolonged handshake he shared with U.S. President Donald Trump in Brussels. My handshake with him is not innocent, Macron told Journal in an interview published Sunday. It's not the alpha and omega of politics, but a moment of truth. The two newly minted leaders met in Brussels on Thursday and shook hands in full view of the press. The tense moment during Trump's first trip abroad as president became the latest of Trump's handshakes to draw attention online. In February, Trump's lengthy handshake with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, along with Abe's animated reaction, went viral. In the interview, Macron compared his own handshake to his leadership posture. One must show that we won't make little concessions, even symbolic ones, Macron said. The centrist European leader also likened Trump's diplomatic approach to those of Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Donald Trump, the president of Turkey, or the president of Russia are all of mindset of power relations, which doesn't bother me, Macron said. I don't believe in diplomacy of the public invective, but in bilateral dialogues. I don't let anything go. That's how one makes oneself respected. Yes, of course. So you compare Donald Trump right now to Vladimir Putin and to powers of those who want authoritarian rule. You know, Macron called that Le Pen was starting civil relations, as she was going to start a civil war in France. He acts like he is meek, that he is calm and serene, that he'll handle his political decisions with an even head and work on bilateral affiliation with other nations. But you will see soon enough how he's going to screw over his own citizens, because France is going to turn into Germany and Sweden. Crime rate will shoot up like Germany, up to 96%. And also, you'll see migrants raping women, abusing women, and those who report on that will be labeled as intolerant. I bring this up because there's one woman recently in Germany, I saw on Paul Joseph Watson's channel. She was attacked by migrants, and she went and discussed it. And the people were saying she was intolerant for actually talking about the beating. So if you get beat up by Muslims or you get beat up by European migrants, you are not to say anything, because if you do, it is xenophobic. It is bigoted. Because you have to take it. You have to take it and accept it because it is tolerant to do so. That's insane. That is literally insane. That's basically saying in the future, if we continue at this devolution, that if you get attacked, don't even bother reporting it to the police. Because if you do, that is intolerant. You should accept the injuries. You should accept being beaten up. You should accept your girlfriend or your mother or your wife or whomever getting raped. Because it's normal now. That is normal. That's completely acceptable. And to even denigrate that, to even try to denounce that type of behavior, makes you intolerant. It makes you a racist. It makes you a xenophobe. Have we lost our minds as a world? Have we truly lost our minds here? There's also now new information too, or a new story where in Portland, two white people who had a taco stand truck on were basically protested for having it, and they were labeled as racist. I don't know the specifics of it. I saw a few minutes of Styx Hexenhammer's video on it. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I mean, that's just insane. That's more of the narrative. That's more reinforcement for this type of mentality. And I know I've said this like 6 times, but this is insane that we can't even tell the police. We can't even tell somebody if we get attacked because it's intolerant of us to do so. We have to accept terrorism. We have to accept violence. No, we won't. It's not going to happen, no matter what. This regressive ideology is going to die out. People are getting sick of this. And Macron, just wait. In 4 or 5 years, next election, I bet Le Pen will beat you. If you do what all the other European leaders are doing, which are allowing these migrants in, which are trying to cover up crime, which are also deleting Twitter accounts in other countries if you report on their crime. For example, a German journalist was reporting on the constant crime and the constant rapes in Germany, and now her Twitter account was banned in Germany. They are taking away freedom of the press. The United Nations is actually thinking about getting rid of hate speech videos. Well, the question becomes, who determines what is hate speech? Who gets to draw the line? What aggregate do you use to define hate speech? Hate speech to someone who is a KKK member is different than hate speech for someone who is a social justice warrior. There is a vast difference, and there's no way to properly delineate it. How can you define it properly of hate speech? What's going to happen is you're going to have to pick certain people to be able to use the aggregate that they would choose to determine what they think is hate speech. And that will cause a problem, because what I think is hate speech is different than you. And let's face it, the social justice warriors, they think practically anything is hate speech. That's why they support safe spaces. Because if anything bothers them, if anything attacks their delicate little ears, they have to hide. They deserve to hide. They are too precious to be able to face life, because life isn't fair. Life is tough. There is bullying in the world. There's insults in the world. So instead of facing it head on and growing from it, becoming stronger from it, no, they like to hide from it. They like to hide in their safe spaces and try to neglect it altogether. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Our country, like Clint Eastwood said, are becoming a bunch of pussies. That we want to hide, that we don't want to man up, that we want to face these issues head on, but instead run away from them. And tattle on someone if they insult you, and say they are racist for insulting you, because they disagree with you. Nowadays, if you disagree with someone, it's because you hate them as a person, and you don't disagree with their type of mentality. If you disagree with some aspects of Black Lives Matter, it's not because you don't like that they want us to give reparations out for what our ancestors did, but because you actually think that egalitarianism is wrong, that black people should not have civil rights. This whole notion has fundamentally swapped. It has transformed itself exponentially. It's no longer now you disagree with an idea, but you disagree with somebody and their attributes that they have. Their skin color, their hair color, their race, their gender. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I'm done.